and welcome to this episode of the Gunman Raw. So yeah, this video here, we're actually just continuing on. I've actually done the previous 2 videos on this job, so I thought I may as well just keep going. Anyway, I've got my starter here. This is a True Soul edition, and yeah, we're right to go. So yeah, I think I covered everything I wanted to in the previous videos. I mean, nothing to say that you have to watch them to make this make sense. This is just the clear coat stage. Go back and watch them later if you like, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, so the gun that I'm using here is the SATA 5500X or X5500. RP 1.3i is the setup. So just make sure that camera is rolling. Yep, we're rolling. Making sure I'm not talking to myself. I had that happen before. I'm in the booth. I don't know how much footage I lost. Because I either ran out of battery or it overheated. Like in summer, these cameras can overheat pretty bad. The GoPros, especially if you're recording on the higher resolution. But yeah, I must have been standing there for probably 10 minutes just talking to myself. So every now and then I do try to make sure that the camera is still recording. And let me know how you can hear me, if you can hear me loud and clear. Because I'm not yelling and screaming like I used to at my old shop. I guess I'm talking loudly. I wouldn't quite say it's yelling yet. It's comfortable for me, but yeah, I just hope that you guys can hear me loud and clear. I did look into getting some kind of a microphone. I thought about it, but at the end of the day, like, I'm sure you've seen my respirator, and that's where I would have to put it. And yeah, you've got loads of air passing through, so you would have wind noise, and it wouldn't fit in here anyway. So yeah, as far as the raw channel goes, this is probably as good as we're ever really going to get it as far as audio goes, you know. Unless you just tell me to yell louder, which I really don't want to do, because you do end up getting a bit of a sore throat from yelling so much. So yeah, I've been enjoying using this gun for clear coat. It's the RP, so I wouldn't really use it for base coat. It's nice and fast, it gets a nice finish. At the end of the day, mate, it does exactly the same thing as all the other guns do. They all do the same thing ultimately, but I do like the nice size band on it. I find, so we do these resprays here, I'm sure you've all seen them by now. I would imagine most people that watch this channel watch my main channel. So, oops, bump that. So yeah, when I do those candy resprays, I found this gun is the best I've got. So I'm going to be keeping this one. I usually end up getting someone say, hey, can I buy your starter up there? And like, you can sell a starter for 800 bucks second hand. So, you know, you're going to be paying less than that for a Pro Light brand new. So it's always like, do I really need that starter? And the answer is always no, because the Pro Light does the same thing. But now I'm doing those candy jobs, I'm going to keep this because it really is. I found it's the best tool for the job when it comes to those candies. So I'm just going to go dust a dust of a coat on the inside there, just so that we don't have bare water base. But we don't need loads. We need lots in there. May as well do that back panel now. Just same thing down the bottom there, just a bit of a dust coat, and I don't need any up the top here at all. Maybe just a bit of overspray there. Alright, so I'm going to leave that for 5 minutes. What I like to do is go and clean out my base coat gun in between coats. So this is PPG LVC 136 clear, and I mix it up in 2 coat mode. So it's got a little bit more reducer in it, but I like to do it as two separate coats. I find the jobs come up better for me, a bit flatter. Anyway, I'll see you back here in a couple of minutes, guys. I'll put that second coat on in a few minutes. Rightio, continuing right along with this job here. So I just went out and cleaned those couple of base coat gums out, and that'll be nice and dry. I'm using the fast reducer. So PPG LVC 136 is the clear coat, if you didn't catch it before. And yeah, so with this clear, like they use one hardener for everything, but they use a different reducer. So that it's the reducer which speeds it up, not the hardener, which is a little bit different than what I'm used to. Like they stand off, and well, most paint systems I've ever used, they have like fast, slow or medium hardeners rather than reducers. I mean, they've got both actually, yeah. So, but I guess this way it sort of makes it a bit more simple in a way, you know, like you just have to have that one hardener for pretty much everything. Now there is another hardener that I use for wet on wet sometimes. So that's the LVH 330. And I only ever use that in the plastic wet on wet. So there's a wet on wet which you can put a plastic additive in. So if you've got like a bare plastic bumper, you can just put the wet on wet straight over, as long as you put that additive in with it. But that's all probably boring technical stuff that many of you may not even need to know. But on the other hand, there may be some other people that use PPG out there which benefit from knowing that, because when I started working here, none of the guys, well, and they still don't actually, but they don't use the plastic wet on wet here. So yeah, it's all good. I thought I had a problem with one of my Pro Lights, the green Gunman Edition Pro Light. I thought it had stopped working, or there was like a part that may have needed replacing, or one of the seals may have gone. But as it turned out, I pulled it right down, and I noticed that I must have turned the pressure gauge, the pressure valve on the actual gun in. So that's why it wasn't getting up to the right pressure. So I never touched that. That's why I didn't expect it to be that. But I noticed it. I'm like, what could it be? Like, why is the pressure not getting right up there? And then I looked at that and I'm like, oh, silly me. Honestly, I don't know how I missed that. I don't know. I never touch it, as I say, like I never touch that. Because I run regulators on my Pro Light. Whereas this gun here is digital. Hopefully you can see from back there. I've got my new GoPro. Hopefully the image quality is nice. I'm recording in 4K, recording and rendering everything in 4K these days. So hopefully it's nice and crisp and clean. One thing I noticed with the old GoPro is that when I would move, it would go a bit blurry. How good are this nice big cabin in the spray booth I'm working in now? It's very, very nice for me. But one downside of these booths is I noticed they take a lot longer to clear the overspray out of the cabin. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter that much because I've got my full air-fed respirator, but I remember working in one of these booths when I didn't have a full air-fed respirator, and look at all that overspray there. It takes a long time for it to go down in these booths. But yeah, so that's why you really need eye protection. That's the number one. Obviously breathing first, but the eye protection, especially in these low-bake booths. But I'm using full air-fed glass visor, so I've got very good vision. Hopefully there's not too much overspray on that lens for you guys. I have noticed that specifically on the bigger jobs, because of that overspray, it ends up on the lens, especially towards the end of the job. But I'll pull you guys out of the case when we have our final flyby of the job. So that's a bit of a stretch. I like having a nice amount of room to work in, which is why I really do appreciate the extra large cabin size on this boat. I actually have worked in a bigger boat than these. I worked in a boat, my old boss had it. It was like one turn of bodywork here in Melbourne, and I did a full respray on a ute with all the parts off the car at the same time in the one booth. It's amazing. It's just ginormous. Like you could probably easily tank 2 cars in there in one time, like 2 standard sized cars. But yeah, this is obviously not that big, but it's good. Oh, it looks like we haven't mixed up too much, a little bit too much. I don't know, my rule of thumb is I don't like throwing out more than 100 mils. I might be a touch above that this time, so sue me, baby, sue me. Alright, so next step, I'm going to go out, clean this gun out, and then I'll come back and hit bake and we're done. So that's going to be it for a bit there, gunners. Hope you've enjoyed. Hope you learned something. If not, just hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe. If you want to support the channel, be sure to go and buy some merchandise, Gunman spray suit. We've got heaps of stuff over there. I'll make sure there's a link in the description. But I'll give you the final flyby. I'll pull you out of this camera case here. The final flyby on the job. That's the gun. Starter Jet True Soul Edition 1.3i RP. I've been enjoying using that gun lately, and that's the job. There's a couple of nibs in it, nothing too bad. That's a pretty nice finish, really. Pretty factory looking finish to it. The blend looks good, the colour looks good. Most of this is a glass, goes most of the way up, and then we've got that only goes up to here. So, but the colour was pretty good anyway. So yeah, hope you guys are going to have a good day. Let us know if you want to see more daily Gunman vids. I've been pumping them out lately. It's starting to warm up. It's spring here in Australia at the moment. Until next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out. Woo!